Hello, everyone, and welcome to Survivor Global's coverage of Survivor 50. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, skipping right past Survivor 49, Survivor 50 news this week as we found out the official cast, I think probably to get ahead of the spoilers that were already out there. Best laid, but we have it very, very early, and we are going to talk about it here on Survivor Global. I have a couple of great guests to talk about it. First, this is a man who is fired up. He has a bee in his bonnet about a cast that dropped this week. It is the great Nick Iadanza. Nick, thank you for being here.
Thank you, and I'm here to vent all of my frustration that on House of Villains Season 3, there are no real housewives. Like, how did this happen? So I'm excited to talk today with you for the next hour about which housewives were snubbed, how the franchise has basically been built off the back of Real Housewives labor, and now all of a sudden they've been, it's misogyny writ large, basically. So I'm here to explain all of that, and I'm so glad that you guys are here to talk about it with me.
Great. Did I do okay, by the way? Basically, out there now, and now, this is the first part of this. This is the first part of this. Before the podcast, Nick's like, can you please introduce me saying I have a bee in my bonnet about a cast? And I'm like, firstly, you gave the podcast to me 6 years ago. Let me introduce you how I damn well please. Yeah, and you can take the true, but like at a point you've got to let me fly. Like you're like a parent who's still like, and I believe me, I have two Jewish parents, so I understand that's the way that my parents parent. But like I am 32, Nick, and I think I've got this. And then I was like, I would never say bee in my bonnet. And then I was like, can I change it? And then we went through that. And then I'm like, I'm just going to tell the audience. And he was like, please don't ruin my joke. Anyway, now we're here. That was the first part.
Now you've ruined my joke.
And that was my choice because it's my damn podcast. Anyway, second person to announce, he had some big news this week. Two casts have dropped, obviously. The 50 cast, House of Villains, and Eden had a child drop. Horrible way to do that. Eden, thank you for being here. Eden, we are announcing on the podcast, had a baby last week, and yet he's still here. Look at the commitment. Eden, thank you for being here, and a big mazel tov on behalf of everyone listening to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Shannon. I'm on no sleep at all. We're a week in and we're loving every minute of it, Shannon. So thank you very much for the well wishes. But yeah, it's very important. I had to jump in this. I told Rachel, I said, you look after the kids. Shannon and the RHAP community are calling. I'm there.
I am here to talk House of Villains Season 3.
And are you divorced now? Is that because of me?
She's currently standing outside just with her arms crossed, shaking her head at me right now. Yeah, so you're in the bad books now, Shannon. But it's all right. We'll have a great chat now.
Okay. It's not my fault, but look, two Australian Survivor greats with me. I did say we're gonna ruin Nick's joke. We're gonna announce Eden's baby. Then we're going to talk about Survivor 50. Ruin Eden's marriage. A lot of things getting ruined. Are they getting ruined as much as the Survivor 50 cast? And that is the question we will answer tonight. What is in a better state, the Survivor 50 cast or the state of Eden's marriage? And that's what we're going to decide, because we all had a lot of feelings. If anyone hasn't seen the cast, I will quickly run through it. That would be crazy not to have seen it, but I guess not everyone's just like, trying to refresh social media all the time like me to see that the cast is, again, the spoiler cast that we got several days ago. But I'll just run through it really quickly because I've got it here on the screen. Jenna Lewis from Borneo and All Stars. Colby Donaldson, Australian Outbook. Listen to me. Okay, we're doing well. This is really hard what Jeff did, by the way, just announcing all of them. Colby, all the seasons. Steph Lagrosa by herself in Palau. Siri needs her introduction. Ozzy needs her introduction. Coach needs her introduction. Aubry, you know her. Chrissy came second to Ben. Maybe I will introduce her, actually. Christian Hubicki needs her introduction. Angelina, Natalie, can I have your jacket? Mike freaking White. Rick Devons. Those are all the people pre-New Era. Post-New Era, Jonathan from 42. Then we go to 45, Emily D from 46, Tiffany Q and Charlie from 47, Genevieve. And from 48, Camilla, Joe, and Carl. You might remember them from last week on the show. And then two people from 49 who are yet to be announced. And feelings were had about this. I know that, Nick, you had a bee in your bonnet. You actually did about the season 50 cast. Talk to us about your macro feelings about this.
Look, what I said on Twitter has been echoed by a million people. So it was not a hot take. It was the take that I think everyone has, that the promise of the premise of season 50 seemed to be that it was going to be a celebration, a fun celebration of the 50 years, 50 seasons, 25 years of this show that we've all loved. And when you look at this on paper, that is absolutely not what we have here. There is going to be a lot of griping, and I'm definitely still griping about it, but we will eventually get to the other side and just kind of like enjoy what we've got. And there is some really good stuff here. But I think it's ludicrous that half the cast has come from the final 10 seasons of 50 seasons. That just is insane. And does that mean that there's going to be an new era versus old era? If so, that is an insane theme when it's 40 seasons versus 10. So I think that's the main thing that people are griping about. And then you go a step deeper, and the gripes are about what the hell's going on with 3 people from a season that has been universally panned. And then you go even that third level of who are the snubs. So I think it's like a 3-tiered frustration that people are having. And that's the frustration was my first gut reaction. And I think a lot of people have echoed that.
Yeah, we just wanted to like jump on to give our takes on it because there are so many opinions out there. My opinion actually is like I'm okay with a lot of modernity. We'll talk about how they maybe should have packaged that and maybe who the modern players should have been. But like I'm okay with that on like what's been so maybe that's a hot take. But then I have my own.
That is a hot take.
Yeah, and then it's going to maybe be like a bit of a really messed up compliment sandwich. Because like what I want to do is talk about kind of the uneven nature of the cast. Then I want to talk about possible snubs and missed opportunities, especially because so many people who were snubbed or were cut seem to have talked about it on social media. So it's all like very out in the open, and we really see like these returning seasons in like an era with like a lot of social media and when no one seems to care about like any possible NDA or possible future goodwill with the show. And then I want to be like, but beyond all those things, beyond the missed opportunity and how kind of weird the cast is it still a good cast? Like, are the picks still good? We can go through some of the picks. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Eden, gut reaction. You had time somehow to think about this in the week that you've had a baby. And what have those thoughts been?
First of all, I like Nick's concept of it's like Dante's 7 layers of frustration. Nick has his 7 layers going all the way down deep into the middle. And I'm there with you, Nick. I do think the only way this particular season works is if it's an old Survivor versus new Survivor. I think it feels like to me, it's somewhere along the line, there was a pivot and they got the numbers and they go, you know what, we're just going to make this old versus new. Let's get a couple more of the new players in there to even it out, because it does feel like something shifted about halfway through. Because if you remember back to when they first talked about it, there was a lot of new players originally, and then that sort of changed to there was only going to be 3, and then it's changed all the way back. And I'm not quite sure how we got here, but there was some big snubs in my opinion, that I think is really going to hurt the season overall. Some great characters in here, and some really interesting interactions between people that I'm sure we're going to talk about. But like the 48 and 49, to have 5 people from those like 2 seasons, it's and I agree. 48, it's not a well-regarded season. And there is a huge recency bias with these people. Everyone's talking about them right now. Oh, yeah, this is really good. Let's get them in. There's a phone call. Hey, do you want to do this again? Yep, let's do it. Locked in. Bang, bang, bang. And I just feel like it hurts. And when you look at some of the new era players that aren't there, like, man, how is I know we're all thinking it, but how is Caroline? Like, how is she not there? How is she not there? It's just, it really boggles the mind. And did you see she reposted that interview about Jeff saying about how he didn't like that they do all the casting and then other shows steal people and use them like the traders, and it is a response to her being on the traders at the end of the day.
Oh, but okay, but what about Stephanie? What about Dee being on the fucking challenge? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Siri, like I think he said Siri is above it. Yeah, but Siri gets a pass, but why does Steph LaGrossa get a pass? And yeah, Dee's on a lot of things. So it really shows that there is no rules and rhyme or reason to that. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Jeff badly misread 48. We know that to be true, and how the fans would react to that. And he said, recently, last week, or at the after show, we heard him say to Mitch, "You're going to be a fan favorite." And I love Mitch, no shade to Mitch, who seems like a lovely human. But is it a little concerning to them that they put 2 unknown 49ers on, considering how they're not really reading the audience reaction to things particularly well? And I'm saying this about 2 people who are currently like blank slates literally on the screen in front of me. But, if it was going to be a new era versus an old era season, because it's clearly 12v12. And again, I'm more okay with that.
Is it though? My hot take is that it's not. My hot take is that this is not a 12v12 season. My hot take is this is an 8-8-8 season.
Yeah.
And I do not believe that we are going to see an old v new. Otherwise, it would have been in the title. That's planting my flag now.
Okay,
I
what about
agree
this
with
then?
you on that though. Because
So
I think if it was gonna be 12v12, then you're like all the new era people, like half of that tribe is from 2 different seasons. I mean, just on like delineating the tribes, that doesn't make sense to me. And I do think they'd want to go with 3 tribes. But
so I think if you stick with the 3 tribes, but what you could do 4-4-4. So every tribe has 4 new era and 4 old era, like old school. And this is just me headcanoning here for a minute, but the way that they cast new era players, lots of big fans, lots of I grew up watching the show, this is my dream to be on and stuff like that. Is there a world where all these new era players get so caught up in, oh my God, I'm playing with Colby. Oh my God, this is Coach, this is Aussie, that it breaks down that whole concept and they all yep, I want to be in an alliance with Stephanie.
Just
yeah, I want to be just Siri. Everyone wants to be with Siri. And they all eat each other. All the new era players eat each other, get voted out. And we're left with this amazing boot order where ultimately everyone's wanting to help some of these old guys get
Did
through.
you watch Game Changers? Did you watch Game Changers? Is that what happened in Game Changers?
But the thing is that you're thinking how they cast now to when they cast Game Changers. That period, all those new people, they weren't huge fans. They weren't talking about, oh my God, it's been my dream to get on this show since I was 4 years old and everything like that. I think people like your Charlies and your Tiffs and your Emilys and all these guys would get caught up in working with a Siri or a coach or something like that. I don't know. This is me dreaming. This is me dreaming the dream, Nick. This is
I know, and that's what we did with Game Changers when we were faced with such a lopsided cast, and we were like, the universe will make an equilibrium, and all of our happiness will be that's not what happened. So like, don't hold out hope, Eden. I'm sorry, I don't mean to break the bubble, but Jesus,
I mean, Nick, you were on that season, right? Like, if that's the issue, is that like most returnee casts, when you have like a depth of talent, are going to have stars on it. The issue is if it's very, very disjointed or uneven, what's going to happen is they will gang up probably on the stars, and the boot order will be terrible, and will really be relying on the boot order because the season is so uneven. Now, 2 things to push back on if I'm going to be like Emily Flippin, who is here in this cast. I don't think there are enough of the new era type in the new era cast. Like, maybe a Christian, actually. Oh, yeah, like a Charlie. Like, Tiffany, I don't think so. Q, no. Genevieve's husband, Mark, who's wonderful, is a big fan. But, like, Camilla, maybe. Yeah, Camilla, fair enough. But, like, not Emily, not Jonathan. Like, I don't know that there's enough there for them to have the reverence. And secondly, there's not enough people to have reverence for. I'm so sorry. Siri. Every day of the week, I will lose money for Siri. I've said it. But I don't see where else here. If you're going to lose the game for Coach, actually, you deserve to lose. You know, like that one's on you. So I don't think that there's enough there. But okay, if it's going to be new era versus old era in some permutation, and that's what they're trying to do by having it be an even cast, this was not the way to do it for me. If that was what it was going to be, then I would have had, firstly, better new era picks, and we can talk about the snubs. And then I would have gone back and made it all second chances, and I wouldn't have had winners. And then it would have been more even to the new era, because what's so weird is it's new era, not great. Some of the picks are questionable. We'll talk about it. With 2 winners, maybe 3. We don't know about 49. And then all the people from like the late 30s who are one-timers who kind of missed the opportunity because they haven't been returnee seasons. And that kind of actually fits. And then 6 players who are all multi-time players, at least, who are like the old schoolers. What I actually really loved is second chances, even though we voted on that, and some of those picks aged badly. But the general timeline evenness, obviously it was like all one-time losers, and it was a lot of recent players, which you can talk about, but then it like actually really like naturally went back. We had like 27, 28, 29, 30, a lot of players. And then we had like 25, 19, 18, 15, 12, 7 to the 2s and the 1s. That was actually really satisfyingly coherent from a timeline perspective. That is not what's happening.
And even if it wasn't, at least the people at home got to choose that. Had the people at home been given this pool of 50 that Jeff had said it was really hard to cut 26 people out of that, brutal cuts, given us that pool of 50, there is no way on earth that half these people would not be there. There is no way Tiffany would be there. Charlie would be there. You know, like, and unfortunately, I don't think Chrissy would.
Charlie,
Sorry?
people love Charlie. I think
People
Charlie
do love Charlie.
Great, but like faced with the Jerrys and the anyway, yeah.
But okay, does anyone have any insight? Like, Second Chance was beloved for that exact reason. Why have they never gone back to any sort of voting thing? Was it too complicated? What like does anyone have any insight in that?
Well, everyone's always said they can't do with the diversity initiative because then they might not meet the diversity initiative. However, this cast does not meet the diversity initiative. I want to talk about that for a quick moment because we don't know the 49ers. It might get close to meeting the diversity initiative, which is still a hell of a lot better than Australian Survivor, which is the lowest possible bar. Like the bar is in hell. However, the thing is that like the network promised this mandate and they should be sticking to it. And if they're going to walk it back, like let's have a conversation about it. I think like not actually reaching the it's not like we're going to get around 50%. They said 50%. And it's like the fact that they can break their promises, I think actually like opens up a can of worms that is uncomfortable. And then you also look at some of the snubs, like older players of color who have been snubbed and who the diversity initiative is somewhat in honor of. It's like those people didn't get the opportunities they should have had because there were fewer opportunities. And now they've been denied it here to not even get to the level of the diversity initiative feels like a big miss for me. And then why can't we vote on it? We voted on, well, we did it, but you could have voted on a lot of other things and this wasn't it. And I want to talk about as well the recency because we mentioned that. We need to talk about this. This was like almost worth doing the podcast alone on this for me. Because I think the thing that everyone's saying is like, well, there's always a lot of recency bias. Look back at any returning season. It's hugely loaded onto the seasons right before it. Talking about 31, one of my favorite seasons, had 2 from 30. Again, it was voted. But like 2 from 30, 3 from 29, 4 from 28, and then 2 from 37. 11 players in the prior 4 seasons. And then everyone's like, yes, but 50 is meant to be like a celebration. But that's not the point. The point is that 26 and 27 were both half all-star seasons. 34, yes, had a lot from 32 and 2 from 33. 31 was an all-star season. Before that, the last all-star season was always 3 seasons ago. So, of course, there was always like a mass influx of like the 2 or 3 seasons since the last returning season. Now we have had pretty much no returnees back from 35, other than Winners at War, which is a very specific cast. We have so many great players who've just been missed. The late 30s into the early 40s have just been completely glossed over. But we still have 5 from the last 2 seasons, one of which we haven't seen, and one of which was not enjoyed. That's my issue, right? Like the recency bias used to be earned on like the timeline we were going. That is not what's happening here. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. I think that I've been trying to puzzle out like why it is that there are 3 people from a season that was so universally disliked. And I truly believe that it is like Jeff is an egomaniac, right? Like he you see what he did when Australian Survivor announced they were going to do Australia versus the world. We're going to kill that. Australia versus US. We're going to kill that. When Australian Survivor goes on to Paramount Plus, we're going to kill that. Like it's US Survivor, what I say goes and all this kind of stuff. That is his standpoint, right? And here we have people who are saying that they don't like this season and that they don't love the new era. So what is he going to do? If he was to have fewer of them on there, it's basically his tacit way of saying, you know what, you were right. But he's just going to barrel on through and prove, no, I will wear you all down and prove that we are doing the right thing. And we're going to have 12 of these people on this season. And we're going to have 3. You didn't like the season? Great. I've been seeing the feedback. Bang. We're going to put 3 on them anywhere. It's like a conscious choice to refuse to listen while doing it under the kind of guise of saying it's in the hands of the fans. It's like when you work in a corporate environment and they say, yeah, this is all about like inclusion and everyone. We're going to kind of like talk about the initiatives that we're going to run. And it's all just smoke and mirrors because the decision has already been made underneath. So, yeah, you can go and vote. We'll distract you by voting on the buff color. Go for it. We'll never release the answers. We'll never release the answers, and we're going to choose whatever we want anyway. And then in the background, we're actually taking away your rights. Like it's this big smoke and mirror show.
It's the magician. It's look over here. We're doing this over here. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think as Australians we should be saying that the Americans were voting in a rigged election. Like I think that maybe we sit that one out. But it is, to be fair though, even if 48 was great, even if it was 40 great.
Oh, for sure.
It was 40 meh. I don't think the 3 players, including the winner from last week, should be on the season When, to be fair, Jonathan is the only representation from 41 to 44. Jonathan is the fourth best casting decision on original Taku. He's the only representation from 41 to 44. RIP Kyle, who's one of 2, maybe 3 winners, with 2 of his closest allies, his 2 closest allies in a loyalty-driven season, and he never had to betray either of them, and it was last week. Kyle is screwed. Eden, I don't know if you caught it because your baby was born on that day, on a blessed finale day. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy week jump. What do you think about this?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Jeff, he's on record saying he loves 48. He absolutely loves it. He loves the winners. He loves the people. So of course he's going to push for players from a season that he really loves. But ultimately, this just goes back to the point: is you need more like returnee seasons to create legacies, to create like huge characters. You need that. You need that second go round for these people to elevate themselves to a level. And I think they just got to the point where 50 is meant to be this huge thing, and they couldn't just do a normal all-star season. It had to be this thing. And so the expectations got really high. But again, it comes back to make 45, like everyone talks about 48 should have been the new era all-stars. And honestly, it would have, I cannot believe they didn't do it, because it would have worked perfectly, because you do a new era all-stars, you have 5 or 6 people that really elevate themselves in that season that you go, wow, this is huge. You maybe get a big star that gets knocked off early and you give them a second chance or something like that. And then you roll into a 50. And it shows you that you need those regular seasons to get people to give people that same aura that your Colbys have, that your some of these other guys have created over their years. And that's the only way you're going to do it. That's the only way you're going to do it with these new era players. You can't just come out there and say, oh yeah, Dee played a really dominant game, she's really good. It's like, okay, well, let's see her play again. And it's sort of, it was a huge miss. Again, I don't know why they got so stuck on not having another return season between them.
We could have missed the 8th season in a row of them doing exactly the same thing, and that would have been a very big missed opportunity. Like, in a world where, in the late 40s, I like to think 48, just knowing how good 47 was, but like if 48 is either like it's been said to death because it's so obvious. Like, the Survivor community rarely agrees, and I think everyone is like, if you just did either a second chance season or a new era All Stars that's like new era / modern, like really get in the mid to late 30s. Or just new era, but like that whole time that have all been like robbed of this spot, and we've been robbed from a TV perspective, then 50 would kind of, it would sort itself out, because you'd have those legends and you could have even some winners that don't necessarily even need to come back for a second time. And then they would be up there with these like multi-time players. Now it's so uneven. Then we start worrying about the boot order and everything like that, even though they even aren't playing yet, but these are things that we think about. And I think that there's a couple of things. Firstly, they, to be fair, did not need 50 to be the celebration. Like, they could have heavily themed it as second chances too, and I don't think we would have complained. They could have made it pretty modern.
For sure.
One-timers we've all wanted to see. Give me a Natalie Bolton, give me a Sean Rector, one-time players who haven't had their chance, with a lot of the late 30 people who've been robbed of spots. We talk about like Adama Bate, like people who aren't going to get their chance just because there were no opportunities, and some who are coming back on the season, and a lot from the new era, and that would have been fine. And then maybe like 55 is like some big hero thing where everyone's kind of caught up to themselves. But that is not what happened. So I feel like if you're going to do this, that's so modern. While I don't have a problem as much with the modernity, because I think the casting is by far the best part of the new era. I would have maybe had different picks of this new era cast, but I still think it's great. I think it's the future of the show. I think it's like, these are meant to be the icons of now. Give them their chance. I think then don't package it as a celebration of the whole series, and then don't cast it trying to inject that into it, where you have some of it, but now it's so uneven because you're like, it's a celebration of the series. We have Colby and Camilla and Kyle. Like, those two people, like they don't exist on the planet. Like, it's the issue was in clearly what seems like from the outside looking in, an incredibly chaotic process where they were like, it's impossible to balance all these things. It's like, it actually, is impossible. You're trying too much. And they're like, we'll have 24 people. It's like, no, that's actually not even enough, because you've stretched yourself so thin. And it's like,
100%.
Okay, expectation wise, if they straight up came out and said, big plans for 50, we're doing new era versus old era, this is the theme, this is what it's going to be, would there be this much backlash if they had come out
No.
straight away and said that? I
Yes.
think that would. Yeah.
That would have been way better. That would have been way better.
But not this. The thing is, like, if it's new era versus old era, then I don't think it should be like. And I love Siri. We'll talk about Siri. Siri every day for me. But in this theme, like Siri versus some of these like one-time new era players doesn't make sense to me. If it was new era versus old era, second chance, or to streamlined it a little bit more, I would be okay with it. For me, it's the issue of it's just all over the place from a casting perspective.
Legends. Yeah.
And I think
everyone's
as
a one-time
well,
player, no winners. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, just having like some specific theme, I think really narrows them in when the pool is so big and you can get a little lost in it. Then we get like a game changers cast rather than like a second chance or winners at war where it's like, here's our like specific criteria where everyone's on a similar footing. And yeah, it seems like the casting process was really hectic and it really looks like
really unfair. Like,
and like I've asked some of the players this because I'm like, is it that casting just is hard and like players are just taking it hard, or is this brutal? And kind of the answer I've been getting is like, it actually has been really brutal. It seems like they had to keep a lot of options open through themes that were changing. They didn't know which way to go. Like actually, like it seems like they were in disarray from my minimal knowledge. And the players paid the price. Say that 10 times fast. Players paid the price because they were keeping options open. They were like really stringing along a lot of people very deep into the process, and then people, you know, invested all their energy into this and their dreams and their hopes, and then got cut very late. And it's just
crazy.
It's hard to see that personally. I mean,
I won't go into the weeds of
that,
like the Australian Survivor returnee casting process, but I can tell it to you in one sentence. Do you want to play Survivor? Yep, you're wrong.
Really?
See you in 3 months. Like literally.
That's shocking.
Literally,
hang on, I'm just getting a call, guys. I'm just getting a call. 1 second. Sorry. Yep. Sweet. Okay. Thank you.
Just leave
your marriage is over. Your marriage is done. Like this is it. Yeah.
It was that, and I don't know whether it was because it was the first All Stars and the pool was quite small. It had only been 4 seasons, but like, and maybe there were some people on the periphery where it was a little bit more. I do know there were some people like later on that it was a little bit more drawn out for. But having spoken to I spoke to Stephen, and he kind of gave me the background of like how casting works. It seems like an exercise in cruelty, like on purpose cruelty compared to the way that Australian Survivor does it. And it's just another reason I'm proud to be from the best franchise.
Well, that is shocking to me because I genuinely think Australian Survivor is by far the cruelest franchise. I mean, look at the fact that they're like, random twist, you're on, you got 0 confessionals, bye. Like, US Survivor, I actually think does usually want to make things fairer on the cast. What I've always said is that, what I usually think it is that Survivor South Africa wants you to have a good time. US Survivor is like, it's not there to make you have a good time, but it would be nice if you did. And Australian Survivor like wants you to have a bad time because it's good for TV.
That's not been my experience at all with Australian Survivor. Both
you
times.
got confessionals.
No. I mean, just like my experience with being part of the show behind the scenes as well in various ways, and just all of that. Like that is not my experience with the show. That there is people who love the game, who love the show, and who care for the people. And I know that's probably not everyone's experience, but I have been involved in some capacity in most seasons. And I think that there is an empathy and an understanding of it being like people working together as a team, not this, we're going to dangle and string you along and string you along and string you along. Like so many people, there's a reason why Jerry is out in the freaking desert posting 5-minute videos of her staring into the distance like a broken soul. Like that is someone who has been purposely strung along for nearly a year, sold a bill of goods, and then at the last minute, after rearranging her whole life and all this stuff and promising the world, that it's been yanked out from underneath her. Like that is cruel. What they did to Carolyn and the reason that they gave, that is cruel. That it's unnecessary. I know we're ranting now.
No, I do. I agree with you. But the thing is, for me, is that I actually think that it is against what US Survivor is usually about. And like, I chuckled at the, Jerry looking out into the distance. I feel it. Like it's very real. Like that level of disappointment on a dream and how much of your mental energy you would have to invest in, like, am I going on this thing soon? Can I like invest in a different life from that? I can't even imagine it. I just think when US Survivor, like in Australian Survivor, there's some level of like the TV show has to be bigger. Like if there's a twist, if you aren't interesting, like you're not getting confessionals just because you were there. It's not really about your experience as much. And there's definitely some element of that from the way that the people can be, at least in the finished product, more caricatures. And like that obviously plays out in the way they're treated from at least like a post-production standpoint and like parts of, I think, like some of like the old twists. US Survivor, especially the new era, is so focused on your journey and experience. And like people say it's almost too lovey-dovey, like where are the villains? And it's like so much about that. This casting process seems so like we want all our options open. It was like a player who's like on Tinder, like, well, I just need to know that I have like, you know, a date for tomorrow night. It's like
you got to have a roster, Shannon. You got to have a roster.
Yeah,
it literally was that. It was like Barney Stinson level roster.
But I know, I know.
Open.
From my process, my long, arduous process through casting, that the 2 times that I got all the way right through, and I was like, I'm going to be on. This is really, and then was told no at the last minute. I had those conversations, and they were some of the most genuine, like heartbreaking conversations from their end as well. And the people talking to you with like, I am so sorry. We tried so hard. We did all this stuff, and it just hasn't worked out. And you just felt that empathy, and you felt that. And I was like, yeah, look, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, and it really sucks. But how you deliver that and how I've always felt in my casting journey very cared for and looked after in terms of the expectations and the understanding that the decisions are still being made and different people have different ideas and things like that, and they all come together. And it does seem very different in America, that it does seem that there is a pyramid-shaped hierarchy, that a lot of things are made, well, this person thinks this, well, that doesn't matter because this is happening now. And things, there seems to be a lot of pivots early on in terms of theming and things like that, depending on who they can get. And we've all heard like, oh, Amanda doesn't want to play now because Ozzy's there. And so then that creates a gap that they have to fill and things like that. So it's a hell of a chess puzzle, but I've never seen a season where people have just been all over Instagram saying, I got cut, it's devastating, it's fucked, everyone else have a good time.
It's because people have had enough. It's like they've had enough.
It's like I've never seen that happen before so openly.
Well, like it's also kind of like it's like, you know, this relationship which is so asymmetrical in power, where it's like you can't like, and you know, throughout the years you hear of like people who have been like dragged along, like Shane Powers, and you know all these other time that like other people who were kind of like kept in the loop, and like even Stephen was kept in the loop for you know, all this kind of stuff, like, but you never speak out because like then they'll ruin your chance. And it's like, correct. I think now people are just like, do you know what? I've had enough. And if not, I'll go on the traders, or I can go on this, or I can go on that, or I think that there are other people courting interest that it's like, do you know what? I don't need to stand up for this anymore. And it's kind of like that someone in a relationship who's realized their worth and has realized that like, I don't have to, you know, allow this kind of like, I'm exaggerating here, but this like near psychological abuse of being kind of like teased for so long. And like that feeling when, you know, when you play once and you want to play again, you're kind of like, you know, there gets that bubbling up feeling when it gets to that time of the year, and it's like, is this gonna happen this year? You know, you just inherently do. And if you say you don't, if you're enough of a fan and you say you don't, I think you're a liar. So like these people have been feeling this now. Think about Chrissy. You know what, that she played the season when I played All Stars. Like that was so no, season one. I can't remember one.
It would have been it would have been after that, a little bit after.
Yeah, it was All Stars. It was All Stars. Yeah.
No, it was about 2017 that Chrissy played.
Oh, then it was season one. Yeah, it's season one then. Yeah. But season up, and because that's the one I didn't watch. You know, that's a long time. That's a time that I've been in the Survivor community. That's a long time where she's been waiting. You know, and every year you'd be like, I feel sorry for these people. Anyway,
no,
Chrissy,
but
I'm glad to see Chrissy.
It is possible, obviously, that casting do have empathy as they're making these cuts. It's an unenviable task, especially because, as we'll talk about, like we all have complaints, but a lot of the complaints are different. But we all agree on some things, which means we're definitely right, because it's so rare that the fandom comes together on some things. But but like a lot of the complaints are different. Like they might have gone more new era, and I would have liked, you know, that if it made more sense cohesively, but a lot of people would have been angry at that. Like, people have different gripes. It's hard to please everyone, and it feels like maybe from overhead networks, like they're probably trying to appease a lot of parties, I don't know, but probably where like things are getting messy and then things started changing. So they probably do feel really bad that they played with human beings like this, and it's very, very real that people put all their hopes in that. However, it just feels like, you know, maybe not everyone's going so deep in, or maybe there should just be a little bit more transparency. If there's going to be any learning, it's like, this is where you're at, not like you're probably in. You know, I feel like people thought that they got that call or were really, really close, but we're actually one of many on the roster. And I feel like if maybe they don't need as many on the roster, and it's like, if you can't get everyone you perfectly want, you're still gonna have a great cast because you have so many options. Like, maybe reduce that and we'd be more transparent. I'm talking with no knowledge at all about the process. I'm just thinking maybe that's best. Let's talk about the snubs. I'm going to take this away so I can see your faces a little more. We'll talk about it when we get back in the picks. But here we're talking about snubs, so it's not those people.
Okay.
Nick, you had some snubs. You had bees in your bonnet. You've had all of these things. Who are you most upset to not have?
The number one snub for me, the absolute number one snub, is Jonathan Penner.
Yes.
Like
it might have been medical though.
Sure. Okay.
We don't know. Yeah.
He hasn't said that.
No. Where did I hear that?
He had a really gracious tweet, actually.
I saw that. I saw that tweet. Yeah. So lovely.
And it's like, it's okay, Jonathan. We'll be enraged on your behalf. So I think that, you know, considering everything that has happened in his life in the last few years, like, I want to see the Penner that's come out the other end of that. Like, I just have such a love for that guy and the way he thinks about life and the way he talks and assesses things. So to me, he's my number one snub. What about you guys?
Yeah. What do you think, Eden?
He was, me and Nick, we share the same brain. He was my number one snub as well.
You quoted Penner in your intro video before Titans v Rebels. That was the moment where I was like, oh, Eden's the real deal. He didn't just, you know, he just start watching recently. He can be, one day when we talk about Survivor 50, he can be one of the super fans who talk about that on a podcast.
Fellow bonnet wearing.
Yeah, and even if he's just had a baby, he will be there. That Penner quote really got me realizing that.
I love Penner. I've always loved Penner. He's the best. When I got voted off, Rachel got in contact with him and he sent me a video message about.
Play it right now.
It's really long and it's amazing.
Do the impression.
It's.
Be Penner and do it.
No, we need Rob C. We need Rob C to come pop in. But Penner was right up there. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen Rob out there as well. Our boy Rob C. And the fact that at this stage in his life, he was like, you know what, I probably could do this. It's come around full circle. That I really feel like they missed a trick there in terms of the epicness of the season. But I think another person up there. When did he get
cut? I know he said it on. I haven't kept up with the podcast.
He got cut pretty late.
Yeah, he said on the Patreon podcast it was kind of around when Carolyn and Jesse started like yelling into the ether and starting a bit of a social media trend on like taking production to public tasks. So what was that, like a couple of months ago?
Why?
That was also when Natalie Tenorelli was like, I got cut. What was the stuff. Anyway? Yeah. It's fine. Rob.
What did he say was the reason they gave?
They didn't give a reason. They went in a different direction.
There's no empathy. Yeah.
Mike White rang up and said, I want to be on.
Yeah, which to be fair, we'll talk about. The Mike White pick is very fair. We'll talk about Mike White. But
it's pretty amazing. But we're talking about snubs. The other one I have to put out there, I do obviously T-Bird. I would have loved to have seen T-Bird. But the final, like Dom.
Yeah.
The fact that the person that I felt closest to ever winning without actually winning, I do think Dom should have had a go. And if you want to go back, I've got a couple more. I think how did Sean Rector get in the mix and then not get through at the end of the day?
It's painful.
Like I heard that he said that if the Sepia isn't doing it, I'm not doing it. But is that like some just fan fiction that I've seen someone tweet? Something?
Oh, I don't know.
None of us know anything. I think that's it.
The other one I really liked was obviously Shane, but I don't think Shane was ever. I don't think that was ever gonna be in the mix. But
so this is my thing. If like a lot of the people you just mentioned are one-time losers, like even if they just did what I wanted for the second chance season that has a lot of modern representation, but then goes back, they would still have snubs. There's so many great picks. Like you mentioned Dom, someone who we've never seen back, but I know he's done a lot of the challenge. Like Jay from Millennials versus Gen X, I feel like would be a multi-time player had there been more. But then like there wasn't as much space for Millennials versus Gen X. A lot of those like mid-30s and Chrissy and the David versus Goliath people are and Devons are representing that here, but a lot of other people missed that. Dom is a big one. They're never going back to 39, but I like Janet. But the thing is, these are all one-time losers. Imagine it could be anyone because they've opened up the scope. It's like if there are going to be 2 winners, they should probably have amped it up on having some more winners. Then you also look at some other people like a Malcolm who went out in Game Changers.
Yep.
If they wanted to kind of represent all the eras and they skipped right over the 20s, I think someone like Malcolm would be really great, but I don't want to just skip over Rob. You know, here we are on Rob as a podcast. Rob, to me, is the biggest snub because I want a pay rise. No, Rob, to me, is the biggest snub because Rob actually ties in all of how the story is. Like, he could make it somewhat cohesive. He's, like, old school. He knows his plays. Like, it's been spoken about to death, but, like, the fact that he's like such a modern part of the game, like he actually does represent 50 seasons and 25 years of the show. That's very, very difficult. So I think they really missed a trick, obviously not having Rob when we talk about that. And then like even on the
Wait, can I just say something on that?
Yeah.
Can I say something on that? I believe that he's a victim of his own success in the fact that like he is more valuable to them not on the show than on the show.
Yeah, like you know what? That's Rob's cross to bear. Like, then work it out with him and like give it to the team, and then I will do know-it-alls. It's fine.
No,
like,
I'm saying for the show. The show is like
them
we
thinking,
could put him on, but like you know, he does generate a lot of content for us. Let's keep him out there doing that.
Let him podcast.
Free advertising. Yeah.
Like, let him podcast. I'm sorry, but a lot of these legends are on Instagram lives every second week. Now, obviously, Australian Survivor doesn't care at all. I mean, they're allowing Parvati to like podcast with Shawnee, and I'm like, I don't want to hear this. So that's not CBS. But like, if they just allow Rob to do some content, and then he also has a team of people, I will do it. It's fine. No, then like you could have your cake and eat it too. So, and that wasn't like fair. If that's the reason, sure. But I don't like. That's not the reason they gave. It would have actually just been a nice thing to say. So yeah, Sean Rector, we told all of these like old schoolers. I think Natalie Bolton's a big one that everyone wanted back. Also on the new era, there are a lot of people that are like, well, maybe there are production issues like a Venus or a Shan, who I think had like some production issues. However, if it's people that legitimately could have played, who were just cut and other people who we'll talk about were chosen over them, I'll bring my bias back. Marianne, no one talks enough about Marianne. If you're bringing winners back, Marianne is an all-time character. She's a great player, and she's the best person alive, okay? Bias aside. It's just simply true. Omar, I'll bring the bias back. Having none of the Tika 3, are you kidding me? Like, they actually are one. I don't even really like 44. That's one of the biggest parts of the new era by far. Like, you either have Jam Jam as a winner, or you have Carolyn. I don't know that you can have both. I think that's going to, like, really, take over the season. But you got to have someone from the Tika 3. Jesse, like, they had 12 picks for the new era, and there were so many key snubs of people who clearly wanted to play and are mad. Like, for why? Anyway, some new era snubs. Nick, who do you think?
Yeah, Carolyn is a huge one for me. It's just unbelievable. Do you know the Jesse discourse is interesting because that season I went back and watched last year. Remember, I had never seen it. I think I had spoken on the last time I actually watched it last year, and I went into it going, okay, so Jesse is this person that everyone talks about, and I know kind of like the thread of the story because of your follow on social media. I got to say, on a rewatch, didn't really pop. And I don't know whether like that's, and I was looking for it and I was ready and like, yeah, he was part of it, but like, so I wasn't as invested in that, but maybe that's because I didn't go along with the hype of the storyline.
Well, I don't think that's unfair, but I from like a casting perspective, then there's a lot of good options in the new era. I think on like a storyline, if we're celebrating 50 seasons, the same way that like the Tika 3 is a big thing, I still think that Jesse backstabbing Cody is the best moment of the new era. I think that storyline alone is so recognizable, and Jesse represents that. He doesn't have to be on, but over some other picks, I would put him on. There's no one from that season.
I get it. But I think that he's not like the two biggest people are Jesse and Carolyn. Like, I think it's Carolyn like by a country mile, and then there's people like Emily and Genevieve and that. Like, I would have loved to have seen Andy play again. Personally, I love Andy. I would have been down for Ricard. I really like Ricard. I think there was plenty of people there, but The people that I wanted to see of the new era were Carolyn, Emily, and Genevieve. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. What about you, Eden?
Yeah, look, you've basically called out all.
A lot of names. Yeah, you have named every single person in the new era.
Sorry, Venus was the 4th one. Like 100. I loved Venus. I
didn't think they would get winners back, so I didn't even think Marianne would get a call back because I just assumed they wouldn't be calling back winners. Caroline is just the most interesting. To me, the most interesting players from the new era are Caroline. I do think Q. I know Q's very divisive. I do think in terms of character-wise, he popped. I think him, Caroline. I also I really love Omar as well, and I think he, as a character, really came a long way. I'm probably in the minority. I actually really like Jonathan. I think in terms of standing out in my mind in that early seasons, he really sticks with me in terms of someone that. This guy was carrying entire tribes on his back. I think he has his space. But Ricard, I don't know why you couldn't. I understand that if you can't have Sean as well, but in terms of production stuff, whatever like that. But I thought Ricard, I think that's a huge miss as well. Just a really great, early new era sort of villainous, really interesting person. And Jessie was up there for me as well. But yeah, look. And Jen, I do actually really like Jen. I think she deserves to be there as well. I'm not a huge. I don't know why. I'm not really sure why Tiff's there. Emily's fine, but Tiff, I don't know why she's there. And I'm not a big fan of Charlie.
Tiff is a huge confusion for me, as lots of people. But do you know what I keep trying to think? I keep trying to think that when the Heroes Villains cast was announced, or when that leaked. And everyone was like, Candace and Danielle. It was this huge discussion around everyone was great. And then there was Candace and Danielle. And I love that season, as most people do. But if you actually go back and watch it, they both are integral, I believe, to the season. Candace's storyline of how she kind of flips back and forth and how people didn't like it. That was, I think, I was very much invested in that. And I think that Double D is one of the unsung heroes of Heroes versus Villains. Without her, Parvati and Russell could have done nothing. I loved the dynamic between her and Russell. What that makes me think is I always, whenever there are these head scratches, I just go, you loved what Danielle and Candace brought, so just trust the process, and a new hero, a new interesting storyline will emerge. So I try and do that. But,
that's kind of saying Parvati and Russell needed a pawn. It's you can't have any kings and queens without pawns. I'm not saying that's what Tiffany would be, but maybe in the makeup of the cast. And I don't even think Tiffany is like that. My concern with Tiffany is that when they announced her, they were sometimes she got on with Q and sometimes she didn't get on with Q. And I'm you already seem to have cast Aubry for Q, and Q will be entertaining with any person. How many Q casting decisions are you making? And it's this is what I want to talk about when we talk through the players. Tiffany herself is not a bad pick. I think she was good casting. I think she was fun on 46, and I really, really like 46 as a season. But it's knowing how many other people were wanting to do it and seemingly very, very far in the process that now Tiffany is having to wear. It's not even fair to her that she's having to wear being there over her. Yeah. And I will say, we did the draft for who will be on 50. I haven't listened back to it. It was in July last year. I think Rob's winning it. I think Rob did very, very well. But I don't even know if we gave Tiffany an honorable mention, and we had just watched her play, and we were heavily skewed new era, and we'd only seen 6 seasons of the new era. Almost everyone on the new era got a shot. Some people have, I don't think, any points, not me, but some people don't have any points. And I don't know that Tiffany she definitely wasn't taken, and I don't know that she was mentioned. So I think that's kind of where Tiffany comes in. Also, can I say with Shan, I keep starting rumors. I'm weren't there issues? I don't know anything. I actually don't know if that's true, but I feel Shan's kind of moved on, and she has a big social media following, and she's living her life. In terms of Carolyn, when we talk about who could have been in new era female slots, Carolyn very rarely is someone who is as big as these old school legends. It's very, very hard because no one's come back and they haven't 100%. Had time. From her being a character on 44, let alone being a traitor on the Traitors, from a pure reality TV standpoint, she has name recognition beyond the show, which is so rare in the new era. It's a slam dunk. What's going on? Yeah.
Slams up.
She's
Something
just,
must
she's
have
just
happened.
this
Something.
It's just you don't get characters like that, or like in the new era. That she's bigger than life, and she's so much fun, and it kills me that they've gone down that route of punishing someone to make a point to everyone else.
Do you think that was it though? Because they said that, and then she was in the mix, and then now she's gone.
Oh yeah, they did that so they could have
to mess with her.
They could deny it. No, they could deny it. So they could go, oh, you see, she was in the mix, but then ultimately didn't work out. That's the only reason, because they got the backlash that it got leaked that she was not being brought in because of the traitors thing, and then they said, oh, we'll put her back in the mix. Full well know that they weren't going to do it. Yeah.
Well, it's criminal. Like, it's genuinely crazy. Like, they should say, like, thank you, traitors. Like, you elevated our star even further. How many people from the traitors would watch 50 to see her back? Like, the amount of people she and some of the other players in these shows might have brought to Survivor, whatever. It's been spoken about to death again, but like really looking a gift horse in the mouth. And then I will say for Jonathan, who I really don't think is a good pick. I don't. I'm sorry. These are human beings, but like he's the whole of 41 to 44. And I am a little bit worried, not to be too like the cast is so uneven that we might get a mateshipy bad boot order, because I don't really want to star Nick. But like, yeah, like Nick's already been through it. And if I look at like Jonathan with Joe, and it's in everyone's minds because it just happened. Colby, Coach already did this with the religious undertones. Carl, we know, could fall in. Steph LaGrossa, for sure. I want to talk about Steph LaGrossa. Ozzy could. Like, there's still a lot of gamers, obviously, and old school gamers, and we'll talk about that. But like, I'm a little bit worried about like what I see kind of amassing. And I just watched it, so I definitely don't want to watch it again in 8 months from now.
It's huge. It's the potential for that is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
so who stands out against that then? So Chrissy.
Let's look at the list. A lot of people do.
Rick Devons. No, but who's going to break that apart?
No, a lot. Siri, Aubry, Jenna Lewis.
Siri's going to,
White.
Christian, Mike White.
Mike White will.
Emily.
Angelina.
Yeah.
Emily, Genevieve.
Hugh might accidentally take it down from the inside. Like, he might be part of it and then screw it up. As I do think that's a possibility. But Charlie could try and break it up. Genevieve for sure. Camilla. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't.
Okay. Do you know who's going to choose? I cannot wait. So when the cast has shrunk in terms of like how many real people you're super keen on, you then start picking through the scraps and going, okay, who are the people I'm really going to focus my attention on? And do you know who is going to choose? I cannot wait to see this person chew someone like Q, someone like Jonathan, like Jenna freaking Lewis. Like, I'm planting my flag that Jenna Lewis is going to be way more integral to this whole mix than we actually think. And I just believe that Jenna Lewis, the same Jenna Lewis who just like knew how to chew those people up in All Stars, she's going to do it. So I am like so banking on her at this point. I'm banking on her, Mike White, and Angelina and Genevieve as being like the people who are going to like make sure this season is not a repeat of what apparently has just happened in 48, which I haven't actually watched.
Well, you're missing out on a lot of the season.
No,
because, again,
I'm not.
You're missing out on 50. You are, because there's 3 people compared to, again, just Jonathan from 4 seasons. You've got 3 of the final 4. Let's talk about the picks then, because that's my big question. Is like, okay, we know there are a ton of missed opportunities, but then again, like, Tiffany's not a bad pick. We just, like, if you were to tell me that everyone else, turned down the call, I'd be like, sure, I'll see Tiffany. Like, I just fell. She seems fine, but like, she seems fun, actually.
Perfect second chance.
Exactly. But okay, so that's why I want to look at it and be like, beyond all of that and how disjointed the cast is, because we've spoken about it, how are these picks good? And I want to do it because the compliment sandwich has kind of fallen off. It's been a lot of sandwich, I feel, like a lot of negatives. Should we start with what we think are actively bad picks, or should we go into good picks? Because how should we end it? I don't know.
Let's talk up some good things. Let's talk.
Okay, then we're going to end on bad. But then
we don't have to. We've gone through a lot of the.
No, I have more to say. I don't know what to tell you. I've got more. Wait, do you have? Okay. We'll do bad. We'll get it over with, and then we're going to end on a lot of good. Nick, who are bad picks for you? Like, who are actively bad? It's not because
Sure.
we could have had that
Sure.
person, but they'll be fine. It's like, I really don't want you on my television. It's just true.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And we what if we're wrong? We might be wrong, but just
Perfect.
yeah.
So I'm not going to weigh in on the season 48 because like I've only seen one episode, and yeah, so I'll just put that aside. The people I'm least interested to see are Tiffany, Jonathan. I could do without Ozzy, but I get it. And I could do without Stephanie. They are the people that I am least interested in seeing, other than the final 5 people on that row who are big question marks to me. So
yeah, literally
Tiffany,
2 question marks.
Oh, and Charlie as well. Like Charlie seems like a kind of guy that I would get along with, and that Charlie. I appreciated what he brought to that season, but there is no way that like he brought the level of things that are commensurate with what 50 should be. So again, love Charlie, and I'm super happy for all of these people. But Jonathan, Tiffany, Charlie, Stephanie, and Ozzy.
Okay, we'll disagree on some. Eden, who do you hate?
I don't need to see Ozzy again. I've seen him enough. His storyline for me, like it felt complete in South Pacific, where
it felt complete one whole season ago. Yeah,
and he's just exactly. I don't need Dee and Kyle. I don't need winners. I don't need Tiff. Yeah. Charlie. I don't really need Charlie. Who else did I have on my list? Oh yeah. Joe. Didn't feel Camilla can be fine, but Joe, I don't need Joe. Aubry, I don't really need Aubry. I sort of get what she came in sort of last minute and things like that, but they're my sort of big ones. Aubry, Ozzy, the winners, Joe, Tiff, Charles.
From what I'm hearing, this is actually then like not a good cast, because if we have enough question marks, I know there's a lot of people, but if we have that many question marks, so for me, okay, so here I'm going to give it. I'll go in order. I actually at first I was like kind of upset with Jenna Lewis, but more because I think with the Jerry thing was getting to me, like they filled similar slots. And then I'm like, now I'm actually like, no, wait, Jenna Lewis was one of like the only people we would say would really game hard from the early game. And I'm actually interested to see how that is in a modern way.
Rubber season 1.
Yeah.
Rubber
stamp from season 1.
Yeah, she's a good pick for that. So I've come around on it in the 2 days. Please don't hate me, Jenna Lewis updates, who already threaded me. Like, you better, I'm like, I've never mentioned Jenna Lewis before, but I'm not just because of that, I've come around. Colby, not a good pick. I'm so sorry. Colby in the New Era sounds like an SNL skit. Like, it literally sounds like a skit that he's like, it's comedic. He was past 15 years ago.
It's gone so far to being comedic that I'm actually in on it. No, I'm in on it.
No.
Okay. Colby, knowledge is power. Colby fucking on a losing his vote, trying to shot in the dark, shot, figuring out who's got shot in the dark. Guys, this is going to be so good. And like, yes, I take your point that we're done with him, and like I know I said Ozzy and Stephanie as well, but like, it is slim pickings for people who represent our childhood. Like,
it's not.
It is.
But
it is.
No,
There's
you
like
can understand. But you
people.
understand. You understand. Colby and Stephanie are two of the people.
The
show was the biggest it's ever been. Season 2.
Yeah.
Everyone, more kids got named Colby that year than any other year birth.
Yeah,
everyone loves that stat. One person named their dog Colby is what happened. Okay, no, I'm not trying to diminish it. I'm not diminishing it.
Are you ragging on my new child's name? Are you?
Get it, Colby. That would be perfect. That would be beautiful name though. Colby's a great name. Can I just say on the Colby name stat? Maybe people didn't care about Colby the person, and they just Colby's a great name. It's not like his name was like Balthazar, and everyone named the kid Balthazar in honor of him because no one could like the name on its own merits. Like Colby, maybe they were just it's a cheese. Colby's just a great name. Like I might name my kid Colby one day just because it's like it's a cheese. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
But those two, now you get why they're on the show. You get why.
I don't get it. Actually, I want to fight about it.
You do. More people know those two players than perhaps anyone else in the history of the show that have watched it. They're going to pull back people that haven't watched it for 10 years.
You just made the argument, Shannon. We just made the argument that Carolyn brings in all these players and all these people.
Carolyn's great TV.
I know, but like you can't make the exact same opposite argument for Colby. Like
no.
He's more well known than Carolyn.
Yes, I can make the same argument because Carolyn's great TV, and additionally, if you want people from the new era, she actually which is rare in the new era. A lot of people from the olden days from 2000-ish, think can be iconic. And also, the most important thing is entertainment. I'm not saying that Colby wasn't great TV. I'm just saying that who could watch Heroes versus Villains and be 15 years later, we're going to bring him back? Now, I will say, when I was talking to my dad last week about the Australia v World cast, which, by the way, this really puts into perspective how well the AUV World cast slaps. Just saying.
See?
But when I was talking to my dad about that, he said, "Where is Boston Rob and the guy who was on Curb Your Enthusiasm?" So today I told him, yes, Colby will be back. And and Colby has a big name recognition. I still think it's crazy. I still think there are other names, but fine on Colby. I want to Steph Lagrosa. I think underratedly bad pick, and I'll tell you why. Yes, she has massive, if not name recognition, story recognition, because the Palau Oolong stuff. It's if I were to go to my parents and say, do you remember this person? I don't think they'd say yes. But if I remember, do you remember she was by herself? If I were to say that, I think they'd be like, yes. She's been riding on that for 20 years. She was on the Traders. She's getting poverty-level opportunities. Is she bringing poverty-level entertainment? There's a renaissance of TV heroes, and it's Siri, Boston Rob, Poverty, and Steph Lagrosa.
I know.
I don't think it's earned to the same degree.
I 100% agree with you. I 1,000% agree with you. And we saw the loop get closed with Guatemala, which was basically a season all about her. What more possible story could we get from her? So that's why, I get it, and I'm okay with it, especially when we have this absolute vacuum of previous icons. So I'm okay with it. But I don't love it. And I don't love that Stephanie and Siri have been on so many shows together. And I can tell you, I know that they are still good friends. They are, So that's it's, and Stephanie and Colby were close allies. And she's, give me Bobby John. No,
that's a hot take. Well, every name's been mentioned, but that might be a number one. Okay, so that's and maybe, honestly, I don't know what Bobby John's doing, but I'm just saying. Okay, that's Stephanie.
No, give me Karen Grodel. Give me Karen Grodel if we're going to really go to Palau.
No. We're going Judd. We're going Judd.
I thought you were going to say Janu.
Getting Judd. Have you seen Judd recently? Was at an event. Someone took a photo with Judd at an event. I'm like, he's back in the fan base. Judd, get him out there.
That actually would be epic for my second chance, one-time loser season. Yes, fun stuff. Okay, we'll talk. I don't need Aussie. It's been spoken to. I don't need Coach. Yeah. It's been spoken to. I think it's gonna suck a lot of the air out. We have Q. Q is new era Coach. We're gonna get it. Aubry, I could come around on. I have been low on Aubry, and I know the whole thing is there's a big Aubry stand from Corong, the diminishing returns. You can almost put a picture of Aubry next to Survivor diminishing returns in the dictionary. It's just unfortunate, and I'm being so harsh and I'm hearing it, but I'm an Aubry stan. I could come around because I think having the time off, I think she's had a child and named him, I assume, Colby.
I think she's had two kids.
She's had two Colbys, a Colby and a mozzarella.
Colby and Stephanie.
Yeah, Colby and Stephanie. I think and Aubry might. I think with Aubry, she played 32, 34, 38. No wonder they were diminishing returns. She was probably freaking exhausted. Now that she's had a lot more time, it actually could be interesting, and we know that she can bring it from a TV perspective when it goes well. I'm actually coming around on Aubry. I'm convincing myself.
Okay.
Is Aubry? Sorry, No, Nick, you go.
I'm a huge Aubry fan. I've met her. We've hung out. She is magnetic. She is so my people. I love Aubry. I will always love Aubry. I am when people say we don't need another Aubry, do you know what? I actually think we do need Aubry. I love what her self-awareness and who she speaks to in the fan base is she was the first of her kind, and she will always, people will, just like there's the people who always compare to Poverty, there will be people who always compare to Aubry. And that is, she carved out a niche for herself in the show that had been on for 30 seasons. I love her, and I will never speak poorly of her. And if I had to put this cast on the stove and boil them down to my top 5 favorites, Aubry's in the top 3 for me, and I will never speak poorly of Aubry.
Wow, we came in really high on Aubry. Eden, what were you going to ask?
No, I was going to say I've never met Aubry. I think she's a lovely lady. I don't think she's a full-time player of Survivor. Like it just doesn't.
Hmm.
When I think about the people that have played 4 times, 5 times, and I just in my head, and maybe it is the diminishing returns, and what my last memory of her is her time on Edge of Extinction and how that sort of all fell apart in such a dramatic way. But yeah, to me, I think her story had been told enough in Go Wrong. I think that was such a beautiful arc for her in Go Wrong, and I think that was her season. That was her season. I think it's never quite reached that, and I was surprised to see her back on here. I'm sorry, Nick.
Well, that's why I want her back, because like she deserves better than the last time, and like I thought this when she was on Edge of Extinction. So like I'm so desperate for the story to be rewritten, and I'm hoping that like she is enough of a non-entity in people's minds because of this time lapse. I just always want better for her than what she got, and I do remember hearing conversations with exit interviews at Game Changers that people just like shut her out completely and refused to work with her, and she just was like completely iced out because of her background. So I'm hoping that won't be an issue for her this time.
She did define an era, and I think we're going to find out with Aubry if it's one of the two things you're saying. Like either she played exceptionally well on Go Wrong, had a really beautifully devastating arc, and that was the best it was going to get, and we should have like put the book down there. And then that's why that's why the diminishing returns kept happening. Or that was one good part of the story, and then she just played way too much, way too quickly, and she could do more, but not off the back of that in quick succession. And now getting her many years later, I think we will see that. So it is interesting, some of these people being brought back when the last real opportunity they had to be brought back. I mean, for many it's Game Changers. For Aubry, she's been in like every returnee opportunity that was available to her since she played. Literally every single one. Is it like
that's true.
Yeah, which is and I was thinking about it because we'll talk about Siri. I love that neither of you said Siri was a bad pick, because you'd be ejected from the podcast because I have the technology to do that. Siri, as I said, does not fit into this cast. However, it's interesting with Siri because she's played so much. Like, firstly, I'll see Siri, on TV every day, and I'll be lucky to do it. The interesting thing is she's played so much other reality TV, but the last time US Survivor saw her was Advantage Geddon, and this is the next real opportunity to bring her back. And they're like, yes, it's kind of like if she's been like severed out of like a returnee season into the next opportunity. Like, I do get that, and also because it's Siri, but I don't think that she really fits this cast just because she should be with other Mount Rushmore level players.
But she didn't fit Game Changers either. That was part of the discussion, that she was so out of place there.
Yeah. Wow, Aubry stat is so interesting to me that I just thought of it. Anyway, sorry, Eden.
She's been everything. No.
Yeah.
I think the Siri thing is interesting because when you think about legendary female players from the past in Survivor, most of them have gone on to win a season at some point. And she's probably one of the few that probably is that same tier. She's like, she's with the Sandras, she's with the Parvatys, she's with these sort of really the Kim Spradlins and everything like that. But she never ended up winning, and so that's why giving her another shot in this situation, I'm fine with. I'm fine with seeing if there's that fire still in her tank to see if she can get across the line, and that's why I think she's sort of. It is weird that there is no other winner from the old school, that there's multiple winners from the new school. I think that is really weird, but I would have really liked no winners at all. But I think that's why she could still work in this, because she hasn't ended up winning, and that's why she still works for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. We'll talk about like Carl and D. Like, I'm okay having new era winners with a Siri. Like, I think that's if anything, Siri's more legendary than that. I think maybe if it was going to be like one-time losers, that's its own thing. But like, if anything, having new era winners maybe should have been amped up even a little bit more for the level of like first tier, like iconic legendary, and then like ramp it up through the whole thing. Like, pick a lane. It's either like winners and Siris, which is a theme maybe, or kind of the like one-time second chances, and it's got a bit of both. I would have gone in one direction. Would have been probably what I would have done. Continuing on.
She's got a lot of connections there. She's played with Colby and Stephanie.
Yeah. Well, not well with
Stephanie
Colby.
through multiple shows. Sorry.
Well, Colby. We went well with Stephanie. It went poorly with Colby.
Yeah. And then she's played with Aussie multiple times.
Many times,
yeah.
Coach was on Heroes Villains.
Yeah.
And she's played very closely with Aubry for a very long time.
Yeah.
So she's got a lot of connections there. And I could see, considering the total number of new era people, I could see a lot of those connections just being like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just stick together. Let's try and run this.
Okay.
I think she's got a soft place to land.
Great. But now let's talk about the only thing that matters. Will CBS deny her from doing Australian Survivor exit press? Because then I'm going to go scream into a pillow because I've been waiting to talk to Siri for a very long time. And I'm a little concerned, but my hope for two people who do exit press here for Australian Survivor, my hope is that she's like, no, I'm Siri. F off. Like, I do what I want. I can go on the traders and win it and still come back and do.
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that.
You didn't think about it? Wasn't the first thing you thought, Eden? You haven't been awake at night wondering?
No. I don't go to sleep, Shannon, because I've got a baby.
You don't have to lie awake. So yeah. Nick, you were judging me?
No, I just said I have so much I want to say.
Yes.
We'll pick this conversation up in a couple of months.
What? Why? Oh, whatever. Anyway, you should all have the opportunity to interview Siri. All I asked, 2 years ago was, you help me meet Siri. And I asked Australian Survivor, you help me meet Siri? And they said, yes. And then she went on this stupid show, and now it might be in question, and I'm just not okay. Anyway, that's Siri. Who else don't I like? Yeah.
I think that whole second row is like, I know we've spoken about Aubry, but like the Chrissy to Rick, like, I think if anyone complains about that, then like, like on the tier of complaints, like that has to be so low. That is like a good stretch of people, like Chrissy, Angelina, Mike, Chris, Christian, Rick.
Christian's
like
great.
That's
we haven't even talked about Christian.
Okay. Let's talk about this row of people, and we'll get into the new era.
Yeah.
The 37 picks knocked it out of the park. I have to say that Mike White, again, like an actual pleasant surprise. Even though he said he would come back, it just didn't feel real. Kind of like Janine on AU. It's like, oh, it's crazy we got you once. And the fact that his career has evolved even further in the time since. Some people think he has too much power. He's too close to Jeff. I don't care. Mike White is playing Survivor. I saw it in the New York Times today.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Actually incredible. Like, this is Mike. Like, the White Lotus bubble has just exploded since he's been on. There isn't anyone that doesn't know about him. To get him on the show is such a huge get for this season, and will bring in so many more people watching it. And there is a lot of people talking about, hey, I don't want to. Mike's got a lot of power. I don't want to vote him out. Like this, it's going to be a really strange dynamic if people are actually considering, hey, this guy could help my career. This guy could actually do some things for me. Maybe I don't want to vote him out. I don't know. It's just a really weird, like, little wrench in the show itself. Yeah. It's so strange. We can't really remember a time like that where people are going to be thinking about someone in that way in this show. It's just, and I'm assuming Yeah. I'm assuming he just made a call and said, yeah, no, I want to be in this season. And they said, yep, cool. That's fine.
Yes. We're very lucky to have Mike White. Like, this is, and I've tweeted about this before. Like, when people talk about the White Lotus and I'm like, Mike White was on Survivor. Like, I'm friends with the showrunner. He was on Survivor. It's very much attached to my world. And they're like, okay, like, you don't know him. And I'm like, but I do, more than you do. Anyway, Mike White also, great player, very fun TV presence. He will mine this cast for interesting things. Like, you will see a Q-type character on the next season of The White Lotus. Like, it's just, there's a lot of comedy gold there. It's brilliant. Angelina was always going to be a pick. She's a no-brainer. She's had 2 kids since playing. I think Sari and Jerry are her 2 daughters. So I think that she'll be great. And Christian, like, I'm almost most excited for Christian, probably. And I think, like, it becomes a little bit blasé for us because Christian's like part of the community and on the podcast, and it's like we forget. No, wait, this is like an all-time TV character himself, who we all just kind of know now, and we're lucky too. I think that Mike being there, I feel like Mike was not supposed to be there, and then maybe like last minute joined or something. I don't know, but like it seems like he wasn't like in the rumors and to the very end. I think him being there is bad for Angelina. I think like if
they're going to do the old 1-2 punch, get rid of her to keep him, and get rid of Christian, because they want to keep him around. Like,
that's not
I'm
a good
worried.
way to get on the White Lotus as a cameo.
No, I just think in general, she's in trouble because of this, for sure. I think I can't see it. I can't see it.
I'm just going to round out that line with Rick Devons. Now, Rick Devons is someone that was always going to come back.
Yeah.
As soon as Edge of Extinction happened, everyone was like, when's Rick coming back? And there's a bit of a through line with a lot of these people, like Chrissy, Christian, Rick. Like, these people had their seasons. It didn't work out for them, but they were so huge, such big characters that you just knew that they were in the little journal, little asterisk next to the name. These people are definitely going to get their call up. The fact that I think I'm really interested to see how, and I'm pretty high on Rick. I think his ability to get on with the new era players is going to be really strong. I think he's going to have the ability to basically get on with some of these new players and still mine some relationships with some of the old guys. I think he's in a really good position. I don't think people are going to come after him straight away. I'm really liking Rick Devons in this. I think he's fun and he's a big character, and he's going to, I know he doesn't have the same connections, like we talk about pre-gaming and stuff like that. But I really like Rick Devons. I think
I disagree. I think he's in a lot of trouble. I think
because he doesn't have those connections.
I think that he is seen as Jeff's favorite, and I think that he is in the awkward period where he's not one of the new era people, and he's not one of the old school people, and he's not that kind of collection of the Mike White little crew of people. I think he's in trouble, and I think he has huge first boot upside.
No, I think he's going to get pulled in as a number. I think he's going to be one of these bigger groups is going to look at him and be like, yep, let's pull him in. He's going to be on our side, and they're going to turn on the other side. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes, Nick.
I'm down for that. Yeah.
Well, we're all high on Devons, and that's great because Devons gets so much hate. The worst part about Devons being on the season is the discourse, which is like absurdly mean to Devons. It's crazy. Absurd. Like, all he did was get a ton of screen time. Like, have you watched Australian Survivor? It wasn't, comparably, like, it was fine. He's a lovely guy. I've podcasted with him several times. He's a really nice guy, and people just hate on him. And I think he was entertaining in a season that was not good. He had a very interesting story, like coming back from the Edge and then also losing to the Edge, obviously. So he was my first draft pick when we did the draft for who will be on 50, and I feel so good about that. Obviously, it panned out, and it was inevitable. He was meant to have a little fire token, little shack once upon a time. Like, he was definitely going to be on. I think he is a good pick. And I will say we kind of glossed over Chrissy, who I think is a good pick as well. If anything, the type of player that Chrissy is what I wanted to see more of. I'm like, no, but we've also missed like the Doms and stuff who are like the 31-time players who would have got if there had been, more all-star opportunities at the time. And Chrissy has that. I know she's had breast cancer, I think, since playing. So like her experience since then, I think will be good. So yes, that row is very good.
Wait, can I say something about Chrissy?
Yes.
I thought her season was terrible. That I binged that because I didn't watch it at the time because I was playing, just post playing. But then I binged it, and I remember thinking, she is so good. She's such good TV, and she is going to be lost to the sands of Survivor time. And I was like, I would have bet if you had showed me this list of people and said one of these people is fake because the show did not put them on there, I would have actually chosen her because I thought that she was going to get done like her archetype always gets done at the final tribal council. I thought she was going to get done and lost. And the fact that she's here, I am so happy for her. Like, I will never forget watching that spaghetti reward where she wrestled underneath the flag. Like, that does not get enough attention for being an all-time moment on the show. Like, that is like an absolute moment that just got completely swept away with like it being a crap season and like, and a strange cast and a strange theme at a strange time. So I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, I met Chrissy in Boston, and she was lovely at an event where I also met future player Andy and future player Charlie. at that same event.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
there's a lot bigger connections than that in this cast, and I'm sure they've met multiple times since Charlie actually played, but thought that was interesting. So that row was great. Jonathan, we've spoken about, we're all kind of thumbs down. Well, Eden was actually quite thumbs up.
No, I think Jonathan's a
Just-
good. I think he's a good.
No, it's fine,
good
Eden.
pick.
We'll save you from
Down.
yourself.
No,
We
no,
all
down.
didn't like
That's
it. That's
He's not
how
gonna
history
win.
will remember it.
He's not going to
No,
win.
he's simply not going to win. It's true. Emily, I mean, a lot of these picks, like I'm really high on Emily.
Thumbs up.
She's like a new era
Yep.
Mount Rushmore or thereabouts.
Yep.
So very high on Emily. D, I know we don't want winners, but like,
hold on. We have to
Yeah.
famously talk about the moment where like I wanted to break the chizzy by giving her. Wait, didn't I
it's
try? I actually broke
true.
yes, remember I broke
Yes,
the
well,
chizzy.
you were a day
on the-
one Emily stan.
Yes, exactly. What was the premiere? What season was she on? 45. They all run together for me. But 45, yes, I did the premiere, and she had like that absolutely terrible episode. And what did I do? Like, wanted to give her 3 points, and you were so mad at me. You were so mad. You were like, no, Nick, don't do it. You can't do it.
You
And,
sound exactly like
yeah.
it was perfect impression that you did. Don't do it. No, Nick, I'll have a bee in my bonnet. That's how I sound when I say things like that. It's true. You were on the
No,
Emily
you were
train.
much meaner. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yes, I love, of course. Yeah, obviously when you're doing the impression, you have to add the 20% of meanness that I bring to it on the top. But you were in on Emily from the beginning.
You tried to revoke my chizzy awarding privileges moving forward, and I just So
Well,
yay for Emily.
You're still to this day telling me how to introduce you, so I don't think I get to decide who has chili points and who doesn't. I saw a tweet that was like, being the Genevieve updates account must have been like buying stocks in Apple like way back, because that was like when Genevieve was purple, which is hilarious considering her in the first
that's
couple
right. Yeah,
episodes.
the first 3 episodes. Yeah.
But that was Nick with Emily. Like, she wasn't purple, but people were hating on her, and Nick was like, nah. Like, Nick is a day one Emily stan, and like, look where we've gotten to. Maybe your points were justified. I'm joking, they were dumb as hell. No.
See?
No, it was
But
bad.
didn't she rag on Bruce? Like,
Yeah,
on
she
the
was meant to
map?
go home, and then Hannah quit.
and then-
he wanted to give her
and then
3 chizzy
everyone-
points.
Yes. It's not a great start.
No, it's not a great start. Thank you, Eden.
Nick saw something. Nick saw something we didn't see.
He saw a heavy plot armor that meant that Emily probably would stick around. Yeah. Anyway, Emily, great pick. D, like, you guys aren't high on the winners. Like, to me, that's like almost the least egregious part. Having 2 winners is weird AF.
I haven't said anything about the winners.
Oh.
I genuinely don't, like, that is the least important part to me. Like, D is great. I think D is the best we've had, and like, we need some high caliber stuff, because so put D in here. Upside, she reminds me of Brooke. I would always back her as being good at the game. So yeah, she's great.
Eden, you're on your own with this
Oh
one.
no, I just don't think they should have had any winners. That's all. I think she's a great player and she's awesome. And she brought it on her season. It's fine. I'm not going to.
They shouldn't have had 2 winners. They should have had no winners or more winners than 2. But 2 was weird, especially with the person who won last week, and we'll talk about it. Tiffany, we've discussed.
Do you know who I loved from her season, who should have been given a go if it was a second chance season? Coutura.
We've argued about this.
Yeah.
We've had, I remember.
We argued about it on the finale.
Wow, we've really argued a lot over the years.
Yeah, you guys have a great relationship.
People say it's sibling-like, I think, and the thing, but I don't ever fight with my brother. He agrees with all my takes. His takes are good. I'm joking. But he would never give those chizzy points to Emily. I think, Coutura, we bookended that season by just arguing, I think, on the podcast.
We did, actually, yeah.
It's a wonder you want to come back ever. It's a wonder you're here right now.
I came for Eden.
That is absolutely true. Like, but before we recorded, he specifically said that was true, so he's not lying. Tiffany, we've discussed. Q to me is like, I think I'm almost most excited for Q. Like, to me, he's
good.
Mount Rushmore, new era. Charlie, I'm high on Charlie, and Eden's gone.
He's low on Charlie, is he?
Yeah, Eden really hates Charlie. Well, give us a moment to deal with this issue. Okay, we have resolved the issue and we are back with Eden and Nick. I'm high on Charlie, higher than most. I'm willing to give all the Devons Charlie hot takes. Let everyone come for me. I loved, the TV that Charlie brought, and I definitely think that he is out there right now comparing this to the Eras tour and how they basically just like skipped over 1989 in Survivor terms pretty much. But I was a big fan of Charlie. I think the story is very much there. I think the casuals, like the whole Maria thing, is to me one of the biggest moments of the new era. It's very memorable. They love Charlie. They put him on fire like they did Devons. I think it was A, inevitable, and B, actually pretty good. I think he's good TV. I think he's a great player. I think the story is like the second chance story is so there. And I will say as well, 4 at least dual Chizzy winners in a row, D, Charlie, Genevieve, and Kyle will be playing. But what do you guys think about Charlie? Because Charlie is definitely like a hot button topic.
Nick?
I personally didn't need Charlie, but I think he would be great in a regular returnee season, just not 50. But I guess that doesn't matter anymore, so we need to let go of that. So, like I said earlier, I think that I would get along with him in real life, and I'm glad and super happy for him because I think it means a lot to him that he's playing and he gets to play again. So, good on him. It's time for us to let go of what we thought the season would be and just focus on who we've got. So, good on Charlie. He could do really well at this game. I think he could do really well. Because I personally don't think he is like, we don't look at him and go like, we don't remember any of the huge sneaky, like we look at like, people who've taken out their best friends and all this kind of stuff. But like, I don't remember that about him. So I would align with him.
Well, he's the youngest on the cast, I think. So that's like my one kind of reservation in a cast that skews a bit older. But I actually think Charlie, like on it being season 50, I mean, he makes more sense than a lot of people here. I think Charlie's one of the biggest names of the new era, whether you like it or not. I mean, he's the one chosen for On Fire from a very big season. The 46 is a really big season. Q's a very, very big part of that. I think Charlie is from a storytelling perspective as well. I think that moment with Maria not voting for him is massive. And I think Charlie is memorable. It might be memorable as a guy who kept talking about Taylor Swift, but like it's more memorable than most things. Eden, break the tie.
No, I don't think he's not on my Mount Rushmore of new era players.
I'm not saying Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying he fits here.
He's not. Look, he wasn't even on my list of top new era players when I put it together. So okay. I think the thing that's interesting about Charlie is though he is super connected with all the new era players. He's sort of been. He goes to all the watch parties. He's very familiar with all the other players from the season. So he could be someone that a lot of them gravitate towards and could be the glue. So in terms of how he's placed, I think that could actually work out really well for him. Again, a little bit surprising that he's here, but ultimately, if you're looking at new era players, if you're looking at 12 of them, then yeah, look, it's fine. I would like to see more from him. I would have loved to have seen him do something else, be a bit more memorable. I don't know. He doesn't really, outside the Marie thing, can you really target something else that he did in the game? Shannon?
I mean, he was like he won the Chizzy. He was like the major strategist of that season. Like he got the group together to go to the end.
We're talking about public consciousness.
Yeah, like, that's a really big part of the
not everyone follows the Chizzy.
Yeah, but like 90 to 95%, I think are. So I think for that subsection of the audience, and they're all like, Nick, what are you doing? Believe me.
I mean, he did not cut through in that season for me at all. Yeah. At all. I was so in on Kenzie and Q, and like, he was an afterthought for me.
Well, I think for top 12 for me, he's fine. I don't think we drafted him, but I kind of feel like in hindsight that was an oversight. Not just because we were clearly wrong, but like in thinking about it, I don't think we drafted. I think that was wrong. Genevieve, I think is a great pick.
Love it.
Yeah, all ticks across the board. And then Camilla, Joe, and Carl, like it's almost impossible to look at them individually because it's just so insane that they're all here. I would have liked Joe to have a little bit more time to kind of reckon with what happened, and then I would be more interested further down the line. Kyle is in the worst possible position, as I've said. Camilla, that's quite fun. But also Camilla, like a week ago, was talking about how she lies to everyone and loves lying. Couldn't have been a worse PR stint for the rest of the cast. So it's not great for any of them, I don't think, especially all together. And it's really, even though I like them all individually as people and even as players and maybe even as immediate returners each, maybe, and even that's a maybe, it's just impossible to have this conversation, I think, when they're all together. But Eden, what do you think about this?
Just Camilla, just have her. That's fine. Just
have Camilla. You're so blunt. You're like, I've got to go to bed. I have a newborn. Camilla, just choose Camilla.
No, I don't need the other two. I honestly don't. Back to back, what will pretty much be back to back seasons for them. Yeah, I don't need Joe. it's going to be the same. I feel like he's going to approach the game the exact same way. Don't think he's going to have evolved as a player in that time. And Kyle, I think he's going to be a really big target as one of the few winners, the more recent winners that people can be like, yep, cool, let's get rid of Kyle. Yeah.
And then we don't know the 49 people. And it's frustrating that those names will be out there and that it will color our perception of the season. But we're all just going to have to get past that, okay, guys? We're just going to all move on. Even if it's really annoying and we're all thinking about it all the time, we're all just going to move on with that. So, look, we largely agreed on things, but I think even the discussion points between us, let alone the whole fan base, does show that, like, favorite picks or good and bad picks is the most subjective part of this, and is very, very difficult for a casting department because everyone has different perspectives. I think the disjointed aspect of it is quite objective as an issue, and some of the missed opportunities and the snubs speak for themselves at a point where people actually do seem to agree, which is, again, rare. So I feel like those two things are more set in stone, and, like, pros and cons on the players is more subjective, although I think we are saying that while all-star casts are definitely going to have, like, gold there, I mean, again, there's a lot to work with. This isn't up to the level we would necessarily want, given how high the bar is on that. Is that a fair summation of everything?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Something we wanted to do was winner picks, just straight off the bat. Lock it in now. Never change. Yeah, and I think it's a great, and it's my podcast, Nick. That's what I wanted to do, and that's why we're doing
I'm
that.
going with it.
I have my winner pick, and I want to give it first so that I don't look like I'm copying if one of you take it. But still feel free to take it if it is your winner pick. Okay?
I'm bouncing between a few people, so.
No, but don't let me deter you though. You stick with your gut.
I won't.
Great. Genevieve is my winner pick. It's not just because her lovely husband is on Twitter telling me about how he's drinking out of a chizzy mug, which he shouldn't even be allowed to do because he didn't win the chizzy. However, I'm allowing it while she's gone. I just think Genevieve, like, I knew she was a sparkly person from the preseason of 47. And I saw the skills, and I think we can see them again. I don't know how much of a threat she'll be compared to, like, all the 48s next to her as an example. She's by herself there in that cast. I'm not sure necessarily what her connections are like, but I just think that she's got the necessary skills and doesn't stand out too much from a threat level perspective compared to, like, some of the other players. And it's, 9 months before the season, but I'm just going to lock it in, and I feel good about it.
Wow.
What do you think?
I disagree. I think her threat level is extremely
high. It is
high.
high. It is high. That's my what, but compared to some other people, extremely high?
Yeah, I think it's extremely high. Like, I don't think, like, people are looking like, oh my God, Jenna Lewis, what a threat. Colby, what a threat. Stephanie, what a threat.
They're not threats.
Coach, what a threat. Chris, like, there's, like, so many people who are not threats. Jonathan,
they're not gonna win.
My God, what a threat. Q, what a threat. Like, oh.
Those people aren't going to win. Jonathan can't win. Like, Colby can't, like, I think, and I just heard, I've just got like 20 minutes left of Rob and Mike breaking it all down, and Rob thinks she's going to be a bit like a Kim Spradlin in Winners at War, where it's hard to get her foot in, and then even when she does,
hold on.
Runway.
Do you remember when we podcasted about the episode? I think it was the episode she got voted out. No, it was earlier on. And I said that on a second. Oh my God, I said this. Someone roll back the tape. I literally said to you that if she plays again, it is going to be like Kim Spradlin and Winners at War. I literally said that to you. I was sitting in this exact same spot, and I remember.
Did you?
You heard it here. 100%. 100%. And I was like, and she will struggle to find her feet, and, like, she'll be so good, but, like, no one will want to play with her, and she's got all the things to win. But if no one wants to play with you, it doesn't matter how good you are, you will not have a chance to win. And I said that. And wow, there you go.
I won't be deterred though, because it just feels right. It felt right before 47, and I didn't go with my gut. Now my gut was Genevieve. I actually went with Rachel, so no complaints from me, who was also great. But I just think, like, the 47 women have it on lock, and Genevieve is great, and I feel good. It makes me feel good as well. Like, I like rooting for Genevieve. I wanted to be my winner pick. Don't let me doubt it. Nick, give your pick if it's so much better than mine.
No. She's in. Like I said about Aubry, it's like Aubry, Genevieve, Angelina. Like, they are like the three people I'm rooting for, and Emily. They're like the people that I really want to do well. So
I feel like those Kristen, Mike, White, Q, up there for me, but
yeah, if any of those people win, I'll be very happy. So, okay. So here's my theory on being on who I think is going to win. But first, it's a question to both of you, because I don't know if I've got the stats right. Has someone who has lost at the final tribal council ever come back and won?
Eden, we should know this. I've got the opposite.
Has come back and
I've
won.
got
Yeah, I've got the opposite
Parvati.
way.
Yeah,
I've got so it's Parv as well. So
Boston Rob.
Oh yeah,
Boston Rob. Okay, good one. So my theory is that the insane number of losing finalists in this group, we're going to get one of them being the winner.
Okay.
So I'm bouncing between Charlie, Chrissy. I don't know Joe, so I can't put him in there, but like he's speaking to me as well. So I'm thinking between Charlie and Chrissy. I usually would not go for Chrissy because of the archetype who always gets screwed. Yeah. But in this collection of people with like the age, I'm going to go with Chrissy. Eden, why are you laughing?
That was my winner's pick as well.
Oh, but don't let him deter you. That's fine. That's good.
It's all good. No.
Eden, you're allowed your own winner pick. It's very important that you have your own winner pick.
I have different reasons. I have slightly different reasons, but no, continue, Nick. That's so funny. I started laughing.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, that was it. No, that was like I was thinking Charlie because like he doesn't stand out enough to me. I know that you disagree. So like I think he has the right amount of savviness for the kind of game, but hasn't stood out as being a kind of person who was immediately needs to be targeted. I could see him working with all of the people in the bottom two rows, and I could see him having the reverence that I think Eden you spoke about before. That would make him want to work with the top people. So, but I think his age and his it's going to sound so bad, Charlie. This sounds so mean, but his forgettability means that I don't think he will take it. And if Chrissy is at the end, I think that this is a group of people who are older, who are more established, who would recognize what it's like to lose at the final tribal council, maybe want to right some of those wrongs, and vote for someone who has previously lost before. So I'm locking in Chrissy.
Charlie, I think, is a good pick. I was worried about his age as well. I didn't think about Chrissy from a demographic standpoint, but you are right in that it is a different demographic. I think of all the people who lost at the end, like Charlie very nearly didn't, to be fair. Like that's, it's a big decision, but it's like one big decision. Chrissy, and again, maybe that speaks to probably largely to the demographic, and maybe things are different now and New Era casts are more open to things and actually did respond to how like we viewed men winning in the 30s. But I feel like Chrissy was not close to winning with that cast, like even if Ben isn't there. And I don't know that we talk about it that often.
I don't remember enough about the season personally. I just remember that I just thought she was insanely good with the right amount of bulldog in her to kind of like not be a wallflower and I just feel like she has a lot of, like, if you look at this cast, there are a lot of parents. Like that whole first row, bar Aussie, I think, are parents.
So many tiny Colbys just running around.
And then Aubry's got kids, Angelina's got kids, Rick's got kids. I think Q has kids. Joe has kids.
Since he played, actually, Q had a kid.
Does Genevieve have kids?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay.
Joe has
There's
kids.
quite a lot of parents there, married people. I feel like that's not going to be like the thing that like a young jury might kind of like resent.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Eden.
But Eden, you shouldn't lose your winner pick just because Nick happened to go first.
No.
Okay,
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. But my thought process was, so Chrissy, obviously my recollection of her season was she had that season sewn up if it wasn't for a few certain interesting twists that happened along the way in that system that sort of made everything blow up. I think her understanding of the game for someone in that demo, I think if she can get through the first couple of tribal councils this season, I think she's really well placed to get really, really deep in the game. I think I was thinking the parent thing as well. Just recently have played a season where you just naturally you gravitate towards other parents, like being a new parent and stuff like that. It was just something that came up naturally, and it was like me and Charles had lots of fun conversations. Me and Caroline connected over that. I think that is, and looking at this tribe, I see how that sort of can break down as well. I think she's got a good understanding of the new era as well. I think she's one of the older era people that can transition well into this new style. I don't think she's stuck in how she originally approached the game. I think she's got enough connection in the community as well. I think she's in good stead. I'm looking at like a Chrissy, Jenna, both going pretty deep in the game, and I think she's got enough reverence for these old people that she wants to keep them around. She loves the Jenners and the historical figures, but at the same time, she's going to be able to get on with a Charlie or an Emily or a Dee. Like I see her getting on with all of those. Like Genevieve, I see her getting on with Tiffany, Dee, Emily. I see her connecting with all of those players. So I actually, and she's not a big enough threat that people are going to look at her and go, okay. And finally, I think she's not afraid to make moves. I don't think she falls into that loyalty aspect of the game. I think she is totally fine cutting people out and getting the job done to get there at the end of the day. So she was right up there for me. I feel weird, Nick, having the same pick, but
no, it's fine.
That's who
relevant.
When we were talking about, I feel if she's got to get through those first couple of tribals though.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched HHH since it aired, and I don't plan on watching it again. My memory is like she wasn't going to win, but it's been like Mandela affected because she was the one the twist like happened to. She found the information, like much like Laura and BBB, well, she got the information because she'd won the challenge. I kind of feel like the thing was that Devon was going to win, but
you think Devon Pinto was going to beat her?
I think maybe. Like I don't think that the jury was vibing it. Yeah. I don't know, but don't cancel me on it because I don't remember that much. But I kind of think that that's how it was happening in my mind. We don't know. It never happened. That's the final three that never happened.
Devon's one of those people that got lost along the way.
Yeah, he got lost.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Chrissy could have got lost. It's great that she's here. It would be crazy if she wins from it. But I do think from a demographic standpoint, I see how this is like a good cast for that. And I also think if maybe 35 weren't going to vote for her, and I still do believe that to be true. However, the new era cast, if it's a jury of new era people, like I think they could vote for. I think like Genevieve, Camilla, Emily, they will all get what Chrissy was putting down in a way that maybe the HHH cast were not. So that is
different
that.
Time.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I've given away all my draft thoughts because we have a draft coming up in the next few days for the patrons, and then it will be released in February. So that's it. This was so fun. Thank you both for your time amidst busyness for the two of you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Shannon. And Nick, thank you for us getting to connect like this.
So good. So good.
So lovely, mate. So lovely. Love it. Love it. Loved every minute of it. That hour and 41 minutes just flew by.
Like that.
Nick, where can people find what you're doing? Still hosting this podcast just like from the shadows.
Just on Instagram at Iadanza. If you want to see me posting about Survivor, the writing life, trying to get this book going. Nearly finished my first draft with it. And just general life updates. I'm on Twitter as well, Blue Sky, which I haven't checked in a while. But yeah, Instagram is mainly the one. So yeah, come check me out.
Eden, what about you? You've been doing a lot of podcasts. You're the busiest man alive. I don't know how you juggle it all.
Just doing some pods. We just finished recording the new season of Cancelled Movie Report as well. So we've got some great new movies coming out next. That should be out in the next couple of months. Next month, maybe. So keep an eye out for that. Some of the best movies never made. We do full audio dramas of them and talk through the scripts. It's very, very fun. That's if you haven't checked it out. Also, Eden Porter 1 on Insta or Eden Porter Twitter. And hopefully Survivor Debrief will be kicking things off again. Obviously, it's had a little bit of a hiatus these last couple of weeks because a child entered the chat. So that's... But we should be back on track by the next big event, Australia versus the World. So that'll be fun. So keep an eye out for that as well. Survivor Debrief.
I got
no more from Nick. Yep. AUV World, the cast really slaps. Like really, like no notes, really, which is crazy because we had an hour 40 of notes today on a bigger cast. To be fair, we haven't even talked about how we don't know how many days it is, and if it's 24 people in 26 days, it's going to be a lot of frenetic Survivor coming up very, very soon. So that's what's happening. From me, WeKnowGlobalSurvivor.com. You can still check out my finale recap with Jacques. Now, you know, people are going out too soon when I can still plug the finale recap of 3 of them from last week. But that was a really good discussion that I really enjoyed, just breaking down Carl's win. It's very relevant. It was a lot of Carl v. Joe, okay? So if you haven't checked it out, there's a lot in that. And Camilla. So it's all incredibly relevant. The draft, well, we actually just dropped a draft we did July last year, which was who was going to be on 50, aforementioned. That's now like, that was done for patrons and now is for everyone. So you can check that out. And then we're going to do for patrons on Monday, Sydney time, Sunday night ET. We're going to draft these players. And then that'll come out for everyone else in February before this season. And that's it, I think. So this was great. Thank you guys so much. No more being on it. We were harsh, but we needed to lay down some hard truths. I think everyone's had a lot of feelings about the cast, and we just wanted to like express ours, and we did, and it feels good. Yeah. So
onward to AUV world. Woo.
Yeah, and also, you know, we hope that it's a great season, and we're here for all of the positive parts in this compliment sandwich. You might need to like try fish out some of the bread, but it was there. So a lot of positive stuff. I wanted to say as well, like, is Kristen too much of a threat to be a winner?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Is he? I don't want that to be true. I like that he has Mike White with him. Like, hopefully that'll help him. Like, rooting on Christian.
Mike White just straight up tells everyone, if you vote me or Christian or Angela off, you're not getting on White Lotus.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he should be using that. It's a great threat to have.
I will be in so much trouble. I don't think. Yeah, if he makes it far, I'll be very surprised.
Well, he doesn't have to say it like, he doesn't have to say like the quiet part loud, but he can definitely be like, you know, what rhymes with flotus or POTUS? You're not getting on the White Lotus. Okay. Very excited to have some of these players back. As much as it might not sound like it, we are getting Mike freaking White back on the show. So a lot of good stuff. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to Eden and Nick. Thank you to our team behind the scenes, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.